All right. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to this interview series, Samvad with Sam. I'm Professor Samuel Johnson from the VIT AP School of Business and from VIT AP University. Today, we are so excited. We are so happy to have Annie Mayfield. And Annie is there from Georgia, from the US. Annie has got so many feathers to her cap. She's a working professional. She's an author. She's a sports person, whatnot. Yeah. And Annie, we welcome you in India. We say namaste. Welcome from India. All right. So today it's now for us 10:30 p.m. IST, and I guess it's 12 p.m. for you at Georgia in the US. So thank you so much for taking your time, Annie. Yeah. We welcome you.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, we welcome you on behalf of a university. So Annie, before we start, can I just show your profile to the audience, let them know who you are, and then I'll take them through your LinkedIn profile, and then we get going with your interview. Is that okay?
Perfect. Sounds like a plan.
All right, so there we go. This is for the entire audience here. I'll make it into the full screen. All right, so for those of you who do not know Annie Mayfield, all right, so there we go. She is now working as a sales development representative at the Salesforce in the at Atlanta, Georgia. You can see here. All right, and you're just seeing her as a professional, okay, but a lot of things added to her. You can see, okay, during her college days and undergrad days, she was into sports. All right, so we'll get to know a little bit more about that. That's the very good book, first one. She's an author. You know, the reason I brought Annie to this interview is to make understand her writing skills. How did she get to know it? So that's first book, Be Your Own Hero. And that's on Amazon. Anyone can go there. I've given the link. Even the interview will have all the details of Annie. And that's the second book, you know, Be the Light. I just love this title, Be the Light. All right. And that's a little bit about Annie. And then we'll come one by one to the questions. But for those of you who would like to know more, all right, we can just go straight to the LinkedIn. And that's Annie Mayfield for all of you. All right, we will also share her LinkedIn profile in the interview below, so that if anybody wants to know more, you want to know how to write, how to get connected, you're most welcome. All right, and that's what the latest one. All right, from October 2020, she's been in full time with the sales development representative as sales development representative with Salesforce. Before that, she was into business development. All right, then she's been an author. You can see there. All right, been in a lot of other works, more into publications. All right, and Annie has her psychology as an undergraduate level, all right, from Wofford College. And it's so nice to see that Annie from a psychology background is working with a very reputed organization, Salesforce, plus, you know, an author. And that's such a great thing. So Annie, before we take and start over, can you just take us through a little bit about what is this picture? What is this all about? And then we'll go for the interview.
Yes, absolutely. So hello, everyone. So excited to be on here. So excited that Sam found me. Yeah, so I was heavily involved in sports my entire life. I joke I have 3 siblings, and we're just a crazy sports family. So three out of the 4 of us played sports in college. And there is actually a story behind my experience with cross country. I was a tennis player. So I played tennis for about 15 years, and I actually went to my college for tennis. So I was not part of the cross country team. Running was just something I did for fun. And around my junior year of college, I just got really burnt out from tennis and decided not to play for my senior year. And then right before I got back to campus, the cross country coach and I connected. And he knew I loved to run and they needed a runner. So it just so happened that I joined the cross country team. And so that photo, that was the first, like one of my first races ever. And I was running against the top girls in the United States. And it
Wow.
was terrifying, but it was so much fun. And I had so much fun with my teammates, getting to know them better. So cross country was definitely something that I'm so glad I got to do. But it's just funny how it ended up because I never
Is
in a
this
million
you?
years.
Is this you here?
Yes, that's me in the
Okay.
middle. So that
Oh,
was our regional championship.
oh wow. Are your sisters here, or you're the only one here?
I'm the only one here. So my all my siblings, we all went to different colleges.
Okay.
So yeah, so they're not in that
All
photo.
right. Can you just tell us a little bit about your first book? About your Be Your Own Hero, and it's also there on the Amazon. For those of you who just want to know about it, what made you? First question to you, Annie, is at what age did you write this book?
Yeah, I wrote this book at 20 years old.
You were just 20.
Hmm.
Okay, that's okay. What made you to bring this title, Be Your Own Hero? What was going on behind your brain?
Yes, I love that question. So quite frankly, I fell in love with personal development, self growth, etc., kind of my sophomore year of college, and read tons of books. I mean, all the books you could read on self development, I swear I probably have read it.
Mm.
But I realized there was no one my own age that had written a self development book. There was no one, with someone, a voice of someone my year that had kind of explored into this place. And I thought that was a problem. I felt
Right.
like people needed to hear from someone that was similar age to them. And,
Mhm.
I've heard all the time, like when I was even writing this book, people kept saying, like, you're too young to do that. Why do you think you can write a book? You're 20. You didn't even legally drink in the United States yet. Like, why do you think you can write a book? And I think if anything, that made me, I don't know, that put more of a fire in my stomach. And that's what led me to this title, is because I do think a lot of times people are dissuaded from pursuing the very things that God put on our heart because they think they're too young, or they think they're too old, or they think they're not smart enough, or they think that they're not good enough, or they don't have enough time. And the thing I just want people to know is no one's going to do the work for you, but if you
True.
do the work, it is possible. You've got to be your own hero. You've got to be your own best friend. You've got to be your own biggest advocate. No one's going to come and do the work for you, but opportunity is available to anyone that's willing to sacrifice the work to do it. So that's kind of what this title, that's where it came from.
All right. So you're trying to say that you need to build your own ladder. You need to
Hmm.
take accountability, and
Hmm.
you can be your own hero in whatever you want to do. All right.
Yes, absolutely. If you're willing to put in the work, the ethic, even when it's not convenient or when it's not easy or when you don't feel like it, no one's going to do it for you. But if you're willing to do it yourself, you can get there. You can build your own ladder, as you said.
Wow. And I also came across with this very good quotation which says, um, you know, climb your own ladder and build your own ladder. If you
Hmm.
don't do so, you need to climb the ladder what others have climbed and made it for you.
Hmm.
Then the competition becomes more higher. All right.
Hmm.
And Annie, can you tell us a little bit? See, 20, you should have been in your undergrad, college when you're writing this. What were the comments from your friends? How did you manage that? Hey, you're very young. Why are you writing this? How did you manage all that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I first just want to say, like, I'm so blessed to have the most amazing family. Like my mom, I remember she was the first person that texted. I was like, I think I'm going to write a book. And
Mm.
she literally responded like, that's an amazing idea. I know you can do it. She just poured so much belief into me. And so does the rest of my family. I do think when it comes to like friends or people that you're really close to, I think the reason a lot of times they're the most resistant to you going after your dreams is because
Mhm.
it leaves them no excuse as to why they can't go after theirs. And it makes them feel very uncomfortable. So I see this a lot of times because I run a nutrition business as well. And when I see some of my clients get healthy and fit and they're feeling amazing, the first people to say, "You're no fun. You eat salads now. You don't eat, burgers like you used to." The first people to say that are their friends. And a lot of times it's because their friends are so stuck in their own comfort zone. They see someone that's similar to them stepping outside their comfort zone, doing something great, getting better. It makes them feel uncomfortable with the fact that they're not doing that. And that's what I want to anyone who has a dream, anybody who has something, but maybe they feel the pull of someone or something pulling them back. That's the biggest thing I want them to know is that the reason they're doing that is not because what you're doing is bad or what you're doing is wrong or what you're doing isn't going to work out. It's because they're
Mhm.
afraid that it is going to work out. They're afraid you are going to be leveling up into the best version of you. And it kind of shines light on the fact that they're not doing that for themselves. So when it came to just like any kind of comments like that I got from people, which honestly weren't a lot. Like I had all of my friends, like my really good best friends, so supportive, number one supporters. But there were people that, on social media, etc., that did make comments, because of
Okay.
my age, saying I didn't know what I was talking about, or saying, "Who do you think you are?"
Hmm.
And that's kind of the mentality I kept when I would receive those kind of messages.
Wow. So this gives a message to all of us that, it's up to us how much we take in
Hmm.
and just be focused. Yeah.
Hmm.
What
Yep.
are the key chapters you have lined up in this book, Be Your Own Hero? Just
Yeah.
a couple of
So
them. Yeah.
yes. So there's a lot of kind of key chapters, and how I write is my books are really styled very similarly. Usually it's like a key concept or idea, and I'll build out the chapter. So each chapter isn't necessarily related to the last. It's not like a
Mhm.
storyline, it's more just a story within a piece within a book. But some of my favorite chapters from Be Your Own Hero is the one I remember the most is Be Your Own Joy. Just because I'm naturally a very positive person, and I'm a very joyful person. I do think a lot of people, though, confuse happiness with joy. Happiness is based on our external circumstances, it's based on what's happening outside of us. Joy is a commitment, it's a discipline that's from inside of us. It's when, your outer world is going crazy, you can still be joyful because that
Oh,
comes from inside of you. And there's a lot of research on that I learned in psychology, but that's one of my favorite chapters. And the idea, another chapter of like, be your own standard.
mhm.
We hold people to the standard that we hold ourselves to. And a lot of times when people judge you, they're judging you to the extent of which they judge themselves. If someone
Wow.
judges you for being too loud, it's probably
Mhm.
because they're very insecure, their voice is not heard. If someone
Mhm.
is judging you for being too much, I get that
Mhm.
all the time. I get, "You are too much. You have too much energy." I always just remind myself, the people judging me for that are probably people that are afraid that they're not enough.
Mhm.
If someone is totally content with their life and their self, they're not going to have that negative energy that's going to be used to judge you. It just, that judgment, it doesn't exist in a zone in a heart of someone that is so content with their life. It's usually the people that are very, very upset with their life or whatever. They're going to judge you because they have that negative energy in them. So lots of chapters like that. But those are probably my two favorite.
Wow. Let's go to your next book, and then we'll come back. Let
Yes.
people see. All right. So there we go. This is your first book, Be Your Own Hero. All right.
Hmm.
And you wrote this when you were just 20. All
Yes.
right. And for all the audience, wherever you're listening from, that's a source that's on Amazon. And when I was flipping through down, I came across your next book,
Hmm.
which is this one, Be the Light. And how 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 much time you took to write the first one was the second one, Be the Light?
Yeah. So the first one, And every writer is a little bit different. So I know
Mhm.
that like how I write books isn't that it's not generic, like it doesn't apply to everyone. I am someone that I don't want to say it cranks it out, but I'm not someone that likes to just let my ideas sit. So the
Mhm.
first one really only took me about 4 months. I and that was with playing two sports and going to school. So a lot of people think, okay, I've got to dedicate my entire life for 6 months to just writing this
Mhm.
book. No, you don't. You can do this in your spare time. Every single book I've written, I've actually finished as of now 4 books. I've written all of those in my spare time. I
Wow.
had maybe, I think the most I've ever worked on a book at a day is an hour a day. That's it. Usually it's like 20-minute spurts here and there. I'll just crank out a paragraph or a chapter or whatever. But I think that's important because I think a lot of people use the excuse, I don't have enough time, to prevent them
Yeah.
from accomplishing their dreams. And that is not an excuse. You make time. You don't have it, you make it. That's a side note. But yes, first book, 4 months. This second book, this is a devotional book. So I
Mm.
actually wrote this in quarantine. And so it took me, I think, a total of 2.5 months to write.
Mhm.
It's set up differently than my last. So my last was a novel. This was more like a devotional. So it's 100 days worth of devotionals each day. You
Wow.
can go to it. There's a prayer, there's a devotional, Bible scripture. So it was, I had a lot of fun writing it because it was different than anything I've ever written. It wasn't necessarily a novel. But yeah,
Mhm.
it took me about 2.5 months. So granted,
Wow.
I was in quarantine, so I had little places to be.
Now, during quarantine, everywhere in the world, people are cribbing about things. People are saying this and that, and you took time to just be calm, write down whatever is good for you, and then you're saying everybody has same 24 hours, all right?
Hmm.
And people say, I don't have time and I don't have time, but you're
Hmm.
saying you need to make your own time. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the best message, which all the audience, wherever you are, you got to see Annie. She's into sports, going to a college at the university, doing her psychology, plus writing down. And the beauty is, she says, you need not spend so many days and years, every day, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whenever you want to write down, just writing it down and bringing it to a 4 to 5 months of, okay, entire revision. Because I know, Annie, even in my country here, many people wish to write. They start to write, but then something goes off somewhere, and then we say, yeah, I'm too busy. you know I hope even Donald Trump there, the president of the United States, also has 24 hours. Our prime minister, Mr. Modi, also has 24 hours. Annie has 24 hours. We also have. So I
Hmm.
wish that everyone, whoever is listening to this, you know can take down the lessons. Annie, can you just tell us a little bit about your school days, your childhood? Did somebody impress you, or you got fascinated with someone at a young age as a writer? Or how did this writing come into you from your school days? Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an awesome question. And I hope this inspires people when I say this, because if I can write a book, anybody can, truly.
Okay.
I was not an A+ English student. I
Mm.
hated writing in high school. I hated those stupid history essays I had to write. And oh my God, you could not pay me to write another like book synopsis, how to or
Yeah.
kill a mockingbird essay. You just couldn't. I hated writing in high school. And um it was kind of like, I don't know if you've ever heard of summer reading. I don't know if they have that in India. And the United States will have, they'll send students home with like 5 books to read over the summer. And I hated that. I hated reading because I hated those books I was forced to read. And then
Hmm.
when I hit college, I realized, no, I actually love to read and I love to write. It just wasn't the stuff that they were making me write, the stuff that they were
Hmm.
making me read. I liked reading self-development, personal growth. And
Hmm.
because of that, because I kind of found my niche of what I really liked to learn and, write, etc., I started reading a ton because I was like, this is amazing. Books are great. This is nothing like I had to read in high school. um, and then when it came to writing, I don't know if you're familiar with Rachel Hollis.
Hmm.
She was one of the people that I started really, really, really getting inspired by. And if you've ever, Sam, if you've ever read a book and you're like, this person, the way that they write, I can hear myself. Like it
Mm-hmm.
sounds so similarly to how I would have said something or how I think of something. I read her book, Girl, Wash Your Face, and it was different than just being moved by it. For me,
Mm-hmm.
I read it and I was like, I when I'm reading this, I feel myself in these words. Like I can see
Wow.
myself writing something like this. Just the way that she writes and the adjectives she uses and just the flow of everything. It sounded like I hadn't done much writing by this point, but I was like, it just sounds like my voice. And
Okay.
I was so inspired by her that I looked into, okay, how many books are written by people my age? And that's when I was like, I've got to be the first. I've got to do this. And I never really written anything for fun. And then I just decided it wasn't necessarily that I thought, could I do this? It was more, I have to do this. I have
Wow.
to do this because there is not something out here that has been done before. And so there's a quote, it's if you have your why, you have your how.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people ask the question, how am I going to do this? I would encourage people to ask the question, why am I doing this? And if your why is big enough, for me, it was there needs to be a book from the voice of someone my age. My
Mhm.
why was big enough. So I didn't care how I was going to do it. I was going to do
Wow.
it. I don't know. I didn't know how. I had no knowledge about publishing. I had no knowledge about writing a book, but I just knew that my heart was on fire to do this. And that's all I needed. And the how came later. So that's what I would tell people is figure out your why. Figure out your why, you will have your how.
Wow. I just like the energy which you are, as we feel that okay, you're just getting into the
I know,
screen.
I get
Yeah,
so into it.
that's so. I just want to take one quote from your talk. Um, if you know the why of what you're doing, life becomes very easy. And that's what you're trying to say. Everyone, the audience, wherever you're listening from, whether you are a student, you are a professor, you are a working woman, or you are an industry person, you are a businessman, whatever you do, you got to know the why of what you're doing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
studying, I need to know the why of what I'm studying. I'm
Mm-hmm.
writing, I need to know the why of what I'm writing. I'm going for an interview, I need to know why I'm going for what. So most of the people, they only know and they want to know how, but they don't want to know the why of what. And thanks for giving the clarity, the why of what. And the other one, what I liked in your statement, and it's also in your writings as an author, is never find excuses because I also write a lot of quotations and I'll send you a couple of them there in my website.
Mm-hmm.
Last month, I wrote one like, um, if you find excuse, you will be of no use. Double quote, that's all. In
Mm-hmm.
life, especially at a very young age, we find a lot of excuses. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have this. I'm too busy. I'm too tied up. But you're into sports. You're into academics. You're into writing. You're now working. You know. And thanks for that very good message. All right. Can you just tell us a little bit of psychology because you did a major in psychology?
Mm-hmm.
And is there anything that you know the pulse of the audience and your two books, Be Your Own Hero? All right, the first one, is it targeted only for the young generation or for anyone?
That's a great question. And in writing it, like I said before, really my why was to be a voice for the younger generation.
Hmm.
And funny enough, as I was writing it, because for example, like my mom and her network, they got a hold of the book, and that expanded to other people that were ages that weren't necessarily who I was intending it for. However, they were for because the reality of it is we are all, I believe, spiritual beings having this human experience. And the problems that we experience as a 15-year-old, as a 16-year-old, a lot of times they follow us until we're 50, 60. The fear of not being good enough, the fear of being judged, the fear of not fitting in, the fear of failure. These are not fears specific to
Hmm.
children. These are not fears specific to people in college. These are fears all humans have on a
Yeah.
daily basis. And
Hmm.
I think a lot of times we do such a great job in this world of just categorizing people as old, young, we classify them by status, we classify them by all these things. And I'm just like, we are all so deeply connected by our everyday fears, by our everyday, feelings of insufficiency, by all of these things, that we forget that. We forget
Mhm.
that the 65-year-old really isn't that different from the 16-year-old. They
Yeah.
still fear not knowing what's going to happen in the future. They fear not being able to be successful the next day or whatever it is they're trying to be. They fear not being with their family. They fear all these things. We are all so connected by the things that we fear and by the feelings that we have. So to answer your question, I intended just to be a voice of someone from the younger generation. But what I've realized in the process is that all
Mhm.
of these lessons apply to all people. There's no limit
Mhm.
on the feelings that you have, on the emotions that you have, on the shared experiences we have going on in our hearts. And that's something that's been so eye-opening to me, as people that are in their 70s have been reaching out to me saying, I read your book, I related to this part so much. And that was really eye opening for me when the book came out, because I intended it just for younger audiences. But it's just so amazing how we really are all so deeply connected by the things talked about in this book.
Wow. So let me just open that cover page. I had a question from the cover page. Let's go here. Let's go with the first one. Okay. Now, I know generally authors have their own way of putting the cover page,
Mhm.
a design thinking, or you have a method to madness. What is this garden? Or was there a story behind the story for your cover page?
That
Your
is
grass hero. Yeah.
Mhm. Honestly, for me, I just wanted to make sure, I wanted my cover to be very lively. I
Mhm.
wanted it to be very in a way symbolic. I'm a huge nature person. I love nature, I love trees, and I love the symbolism behind it, because
Mhm.
if you think about it, nature in itself, it has seasons. Just like us, it has seasons where it's green and luscious and amazing and fruitful, like in this
Mhm.
photo, but it
Mhm.
also has seasons where it on the surface everything looks dead. It's about to be winter here in Atlanta, and I'm already seeing leaves falling off the trees, etc. And to me, that fascinates me, because I think anyone could look at a tree during winter and say, it's dead, write
Mhm.
it off. It doesn't
Mhm.
have a future. But then you wait a couple months, and all of a sudden it becomes this beautiful, lively thing. I think a lot of times we do that with our lives. I
Mhm.
think we go through seasons where we just write ourselves off, or someone else writes us off, because we're not in a season of growth, of flourish. It's not our spring.
Mhm.
And we are in our winter. We just write ourselves off. But all we have to do is wait for that momentum to build. And we have to do the do, even when we can't see it on the surface, to get to that point where we are green and luscious and flowing, just like in that cover photo. So yeah, definitely a story behind that. That was such a great question.
Wow. All right. And can you just throw a little light upon, let's come with one statement what you told. It's also in a part of your book. Age is only a number, You're saying it's not just about 60 or 16.
Mhm.
Age is only a number. So audience, whatever you're listening from, wherever you are, please never ever underestimate the power which is within you. All right. That's where Annie says in our book, all right, be your own hero, own your responsibility, own it up, because every age has a stage. That's what I believe in. Every age has a stage. So,
Mhm.
Annie, coming from this authorship, let's come to a little bit of psychology, because I feel this generation is quite young, quite ambitious, and it's a very instant generation. Everything they just want instant, Instagram, instant, instant.
Mhm.
I just want to ask you a few statements which are psychology relevant, and you can tell us whether we are in the right direction, and if any young people can listen to it, because you want to be the voice for the young from
Mhm.
your book. Yeah. Most of the young people think that uh, you know they just come with the statements which are very simple, like that's it, I can't do it, right, and that's the end of my life, and it's beyond my capacity,
Mhm.
I'm lost, just if they have one small backlog, one small thing, they say, hey, I'm done. All right. What's a message? Is it that the youngsters need more of self boost, or what do you want to say from the psychology point of view?
That's a great question. And my answer, I guess my response better, is actually going to be from not necessarily a psychology lecture that I
Mm.
listened to, but from a sermon that I listened to. And this could be applied to people of faith or not faith. This is
Mm-hmm.
for just, and it was an analogy that I loved because I have felt that way so many times. That
Okay.
way, it's just like, it's just taking too long. Like, is it supposed to take this long? Because this is a really long time. Right? Like I felt that way so many times. I think everybody feels that way. And I would argue that's the number one thing that makes people turn away from their greatness, from the very thing they were made to do. Is we live in this world where everything's instant. And if we
Yeah.
don't have it in a second, all of a sudden we think, oh, it must be wrong. I must not be made for this. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I would argue, so this analogy is this analogy of a seed. And when you put a seed in the ground, let's
Mm-hmm.
just have the perspective of a seed for a second. The seed
Yeah.
goes in the ground, it's dark, it cannot see anything,
Yeah.
right? And when a seed grows, the roots grow down first,
Yeah.
further down,
Mm-hmm.
and then they grow up.
True.
We are all those seeds. We are all, when we have seasons where we are planted in the ground, we
Mm-hmm.
ask ourselves, this is taking so long.
Mm.
We ask ourselves, why is it so dark in here? Why can't I
Yeah.
see the purpose of anything? Why can't I see the light in any of my situation?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people take that as confirmation that they have been buried,
Mm-hmm.
when really they could be in their planted season. And
Wow.
something amazing is going to grow. But if you take that seed out of the ground before it's ready, you're disrupting the process for it to grow. And I think a lot of people treat their dreams like that. It's like, okay, I'm going to go write the book. And they
Mm-hmm.
get the title. And then, that seed is planted in the ground. They have the
Mm-hmm.
title. But then guess what? It's taking too long. I don't see anything yet. So they go dig it back up and they stop. And it's
Mm-hmm.
disrupting that growing process. Anything worth going after takes a whole lot of time. It's
True.
just the truth of the matter. It takes a whole lot of time. And even like, I mean, you don't see it on the surface for months, years,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, but it will grow. You've got to keep watering it though until it does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the discipline. That's when, we talked about if you have your why, you have your how.
How?
That's when
Yeah.
that comes in. Because what happens when you have your how, but you did it and you still didn't get what you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you got to know why you're doing it in the first place. Because
Mm-hmm.
any dream worth having, you're not going to feel like pursuing it every single day, but you've got to. So, what is it that's going to pull you forward? It's going to be your why. Why are you doing this? Why does it matter to you?
Wow.
What do you want to feel when you get there? Those are the kind of questions that are going to not make it easier, but it's going to give
Mhm.
you more clarity to pull you through when it is hard.
Wow. And I like your analogy because the when you said about the seed, yeah, Annie, see, seed grows in darkness. I want the
Mm-hmm.
audience to be very keenly observing, what Annie said and what I'm saying. Seed grows in darkness. Seed never grows in light.
Mm-hmm.
But even though it's in darkness, it never complains. It never cries. It
Mm-hmm.
just goes down, down, down. It's all in dark. But from the darkness, you see, when it grows up, gives the flowers, gives the beauty, gives the beautiful oxygen, gives life, gives shadow. Now, you and me from this interview, we can just learn a couple of things. All right. At times, if you want to be a living witness, a living light at the end of the tunnel to others, all right, it doesn't matter. Maybe there's darkness around you. Maybe there are people with dark intentions around you. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But seed always grows in darkness. That's what Annie is trying to bring. But when you are deep rooted, I also have a phrase, Annie, would you like to comment on that? When your root is strong, the fruit is sweet.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
What's
I
your
love
comment
that.
on that as an author? When your root is strong, your fruit is sweet. How do you compare that with, as an author, what do you want to say on that?
I think that goes so well with just this analogy of the seed. A lot of times people just want to produce the fruit ASAP.
Yeah.
They want it to
Yeah.
be as quick as their Instagram
Mm.
downloads or whatever. But the reality of it is, the more that you grow underground in the dark, the stronger you become, to where when you are ready to reach the surface, when your dreams do start coming true, when you are ready to publish that book, et cetera, it's actually something that you are going to be so proud of. And it is going to be the exact product that God put on your heart in the first place. We live in a world that just wants instant
Yeah.
satisfaction, instant gratification, instant celebration, and instant recognition. But they don't understand, there's so many people that are deemed overnight successes. And I hear all the
Mm.
time when I listen to these podcasts that these
Yeah.
people are hosted on, they're like, yeah, I was an overnight success, but it took me 20 years to get here. And
Wow.
that's what people don't see, is they don't see the work that was done underneath. And
Yeah.
there's a quote that I love, and it just says, what's shown in the light only reflects what was done in the dark. And if
Wow.
you want to, and my coach would tell me that all the time when I was playing college sports, because they're like, people come and watch the matches, people come and see the games, but
Mm.
they don't see the hours of practice you did before.
Very
That's
true.
what matters, though. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to be the winner, the champion on the court, but they
Mhm.
don't want to put in the extra work out when no one else is watching.
Mhm.
So you've got to ask yourself, am I willing to do it when I don't have a crowd? Am I willing to do it when I don't have an audience? Am I willing
Mhm.
to do it when I don't feel like it? That's the kind of stuff you've got to identify for your fruit to be sweet, just like you were saying. That's the stuff that makes your roots strong.
Wow. And let's come to the closure of the talk. And if this message can go to any of the young audience, there is a quote which says, or generally the youth, Annie, what they say is, beyond a point, there is no point. All right. Beyond a point, there is no point. That's one. And I always hear when I do counseling, they say, hey, Sam, do you know what? I really want to go there. I really want to do something, but my background is pulling my foreground, that's one statement. How, as a psychologist, do you really want to give some tips to the people who say, hey, my background is pulling my foreground, and beyond a point, I just have no point. I just find no way. What is that you think, Annie?
I think that's an amazing question. And that's something that I know a lot of people struggle with. If I'm understanding you correctly, correct me if I'm not, but just this idea that my past, my
Mhm.
background, where I come from, is preventing me from moving forward in the way I want. And I think there's really two parts to my answer in this. I think the
Mhm.
first is, if you asked me this a year ago, my answer would have been different. And I would have told you right away, like, you are the author of your own story. You can decide in this moment where you want to go. It does not matter the path that brought you here. But I think there's something so much more important to say first. And
Mhm.
that's, before you move forward, you've got to acknowledge what's behind you. Because
Mhm.
I've known people that have been so quick to leave their past. They're
Yeah.
so ashamed of it that they ignore it, they numb it out. But the
Mhm.
reality of it is, and for me, I'm a person of faith, and I do believe that all experiences can be used for good. And for
Good.
some reason, your past, what happened in your past, it had to happen. It had to happen to bring you here, to bring you to this point where you want to rewrite your future.
Mhm.
All of your experiences made you unique. They painted your story. There's no one else on this earth that
Mhm.
has your story. And if you don't regard your past, you're going to miss out on
True.
the very things that make you unique, to move you forward in the future to the place where you can share your story in whatever way you were designed to, whether that's through music, through writing, through teaching, through speaking, whatever it is. But before you write your own story, which you can do in this moment, you've
Mhm.
got to acknowledge your past, and you've got to love it. And that's really
True.
hard to do. That is so hard to do, because there's a lot of people, they've experienced abuse, they've experienced horrible, horrible things. And
Mhm.
to look back is their biggest nightmare.
Yeah.
But it's part of your story. And before you can write a new one, you've got to
Mhm.
understand that you've got to shine light on what's behind you, and shine it with
True.
love. because it does make you who you are. And that's a beautiful thing. And then once you get to that point, you can realize I am the author of my own story.
Yeah.
Oprah Winfrey, I have it written on my wall. She said for every single day when she was little, she would say, I am the captain of my fate. I am the
Wow.
master of my soul. And that
Wow.
is the truth. That is the gosh darn truth. You have the power to rewrite your story and to write it in a way exactly how you want it. But you've got to ask yourself the hard questions. What do I want? Why do I want it? And that will give you the power and the fuel to go forward and be able to remind yourself of why you're doing something when things do get hard.
Wow. This was just mind blowing, because if an audience can just listen statement by statement, word by word of what Annie said, it just gives you a, that boost within you. Annie, one quick last question. There's a statement which is so used among the young conferences, youth conferences, retreats, everywhere. You need to tell me, because you're from a psychology background, you're an author, and your voice is for the youth. They say, hey, e- especially the young people, they keep coming and saying, I wanted to do this, but it's okay. I failed. But the statement I keep hearing from a lot of young people, the statement goes like this: nobody can make you sad without your permission. Nobody can hurt you without your permission. All right. But you can make others happy without their permission. I repeat, three statements. Yeah, one, nobody can make you sad without your permission. All right. So how do you comment on this? Because if somebody is commenting me, if somebody is saying something, it depends on me how I take it, right? But the young children are just falling for it, just getting so sad, and they think the world is an end. Yeah. So, what's a comment as an author and as a psychology grad? Nobody
Yeah,
can make you sad without your permission. What's a comment?
yeah. There's actually a wife of a president in America, Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." And
Wow.
that's where my mind went to when you said that. And I love that quote because I do see a lot of truth in it.
Hmm.
Now, I kind of have two answers to that.
Hmm.
One, our thoughts, very much so, we hold as truth. Like it blows my mind how we believe everything we think is gosh darn truth in this world
Hmm.
when it's not. Our thoughts are simply just these ideas flowing in our mind, and we do have the power to be able to choose which ones we believe and which ones we don't. I just think sometimes we're going so fast that we don't take a long enough pause to think, okay, do I actually believe that about myself?
Hmm.
And is what I'm hearing, is it something that I actually want to take as gospel truth?
Hmm.
um, that being said, when people say things that do make you sad, when people say things that do make you frustrated, it is in our humanly nature to want to fight back, to want to
Hmm.
get sad, to want to whatever. And so I think to say, like, you if you're sad, it's your fault. Because when I hear that, that's what I hear. And that makes me even more sad. And so, what I would tell people who also feel that same way is there are going to be times people say things to you and you do get upset. And that's okay. There's going to be times people say things to you and you cry or you get angry. That is okay. How you respond moving forward is so much more important than your initial reaction,
True.
because our initial reaction, is that a reaction where you get goosebumps and you get really
Yeah.
angry or you get really sad. Like everybody knows that feeling when someone says something to you and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm about to do. And that's okay. Like that is okay if that happens. If that did not happen after someone said something to you that made you that upset, I would be worried because
Yeah.
I would think that your emotional level is a little off. However, how you act moving after that is what
Mhm.
counts. And that's what I tell myself is, when someone says something to me that's upsetting, I'm in sales. That's my 9 to 5 job. That's a tough
Yeah.
job. People
Yeah.
yell at me every day for things that are out of my control. And it upsets me at times. However, I always remind myself, okay, the fact of the matter is, whatever they said, I got upset, but is it true? Do I want to believe this? And moving forward from that, that's how my response is going to be governed. And then I can move forward in kindness, in love. But at first, yeah, I'm upset. I'm upset. And that's okay. How you respond moving after that is so much more important. I think we need to put more emphasis on evaluated responses. We're so quick to think, however I feel in my gut is exactly how I need to respond. No, you have the authority to say, okay, Annie, I know you're upset right now, but how do you want to act moving forward? I think we need to do a better job of asking ourselves that question. And when it comes to the happiness part of that quote, I do love that because I think it's so important to spread as much light and kindness to people as possible. I would also argue, though, I don't think you can make others happy. I think it is your responsibility to make yourself happy. It's someone else's job to make themselves happy. You cannot make someone else happy because, you could give them so much joy, so much light, but if they're not in a place to receive it, it's like giving a gift to someone whose house is their door is going to remain closed forever. They're not going to take the gift because they're not opening their door. I think we are all in charge of our own emotions, and trying to make someone else happy might make you happy, and I would look at that as a win. I would absolutely look at that as a win. But at the end of the day, I do think we are all, number one, responsible for our own emotions.
True. So when I heard from you, I feel that the young generation should take this word whenever there's something called no, N-O, we can also put it as a next opportunity. If there's something called no, I can say it as a next opportunity. Come on, if this is no, I have a next opportunity. All right. So Annie, thank you so much for that. Before we end, you're working with Salesforce, and this is a cutthroat competition, job, and you're into the sales, you're into business development before. How are you balancing your personal life, your life as an author, and your life as a working executive at Salesforce? What's a major role there? What do you?
Boundaries. You've got to set boundaries. I'm definitely I'm a wired person. So when I get a project, it's hard for me to get away from my desk. I feel so glued to my project or whatever it is. And when I have a lot of projects going on, and honestly, sports helped me so much with this. You've got to learn how to, and I feel like this is so generic in our society, but you do have to learn how to prioritize your time. And I think the biggest skill, I don't say lesson because it is a skill. It's like a muscle. You've got to build it. I was horrible at it at first. I've gotten better. But when you are where you are, be 100% present. And when I was because in college, I realized I would be at tennis practice, but my mind was on my homework. I would be doing my homework, but my mind was on the test I had in another class a week later. And so I never was actually present where I needed to be, which meant that wherever I was not getting 100% of my attention, and my performance suffered. So what I've learned now is a huge fan of time blocking. I have my days blocked to the hour. I know what I'm doing on the hour. The secret, if you call it a secret, the secret is whatever I am doing, I am there 100%. I am in this interview with you 100%. My mind is not on Salesforce. My mind is not on my nutrition business. My mind is not on writing. My mind is here with you. When I'm writing my book, I'm writing my book. I am not thinking about Salesforce. When I am doing my Salesforce, I am doing Salesforce. I'm not thinking about other things. And that's important because I think we live in a world where we go between Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We are juggling. Our attention spans have gotten so small. And I think you've got to understand whatever it is that you want to do, be there. Just be there. If you're going to physically be there mentally. Be there in your heart. Be there 100%. You will see how much better you get things done. It will skyrocket. It will absolutely skyrocket.
So you want to say like Nike, just do it, be there, and just do that. Yeah.
Just do it 100%. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
And I hope this short interview, my dear audience, wherever you're from, all right, we will give Annie Mayfield's contact. We'll give her LinkedIn profile, and her book links from Amazon will be down in the description. If you just want to have a grab of the book, you can even go and buy ebook or buy a hard copy book. Write to Annie. Will get her on LinkedIn. At such a young age, look at the power of her talk. Look at the passion. Look at that. Like wow. And I just want to do it. I wish that more young people can be in your faith, be in your clarity that hey, this is what I'm going to do. All right. And thanks for all that amazing words. And let's just show the audience one last time both your books, so that people, if they've come a little late in the talk, they can just see. So this is where is the first uh, slide. That's about Annie Mayfield, working at Salesforce now at Atlanta, Georgia, United States. And that's where her sports in the college days. Not just Annie, her whole family, three sisters, everyone. All right. And that's the first book for all the audience. Be Your Own Hero. All right. At the age of 20, in 4 months, if Annie could do this work, I'm sure this is the motivation to you and me as an authors. We can start writing. That's on the Amazon. And that's the second book, Be the Light. At the end of the day, if we cannot bring light to others, I don't think there's any value addition there. So, my dear audience, this is just what little bit. Annie, we want to thank you from the bottom of our heart. We're so empowered. We're so lucky to have a person who says, "Hey, come on, I'm there for the interview." I just asked you maybe 2 days ago or a day ago. You said, "Hey, I give you 3 dates and you choose." We know we are somewhere. You're in the US and I'm in India. Time zones are different. And that too from November 1st, your time zone is again different. But
Right.
still, thanks for giving the time. We wish to if all things go well, if all this corona and everything is getting a little settled, we wish to invite you to our university. All right. And we welcome you to India. You should do a visit to our university, take up some sessions and empower more authors. We can do a workshop on writing skills and
Mhm. Yeah.
the skills of an author. And
Mhm.
let's see if we can do something. And I'm sure you'll get a lot of invitations from India. After seeing this interview, there are so many people. I've already told about you to so many professors, especially from the languages and
Mhm.
writing and from the business school, because I come from a business school. And we wish that our students learn something. So at the end, before we close, what are your 3 tips for a business school graduate, and what are your 3 tips for a young person who wants to write, who wish to
Mm.
write? Yeah.
Mhm. Um, That's a great question. I think for a business school graduate, for me, like you said, I was a psychology major. The biggest thing is it's not what you know, it's what you do with what you know. I mean,
Wow.
at the end of the day, that's what, and that applies to anything. I've in the States, I've seen people that, went to community college and they're leading boards of Fortune 500
Wow.
companies. I've seen people that went to Harvard who are, they're not even working. Like you see a lot, you hear a
Yeah.
lot, and not to say that's bad or anything like that. I'm just saying, you could have the tip top education in the world, but what are you going to do with it? That's what
Mhm.
matters. I would also say, for me, for anyone that is maybe interested in exploring other subjects or things that they didn't necessarily go to school for, that
Mhm.
was something I struggled with when I was writing a
Mhm.
book. I was a psychology major. I mean,
Yeah.
I barely passed English in high school, and
Okay.
but you know what? I felt like I had this message on my heart, and so I figured it out. My favorite school is Google University, and we
Hmm.
all have it. That's
Yeah.
the thing. You can figure out everything. Everything is figure outable. That's what I would tell people is if there is something on your heart that you want to do, etc., that maybe isn't business related, you
Mhm.
can figure it out. And that will, in fact, help you on your journey with whatever business endeavors that you have. I feel like whatever pull you have on your heart for one area is going to help you in the pull you have on your heart for another, because it's going to make you a stronger and more unified, wholesome person. Um, when it comes to writers, anybody that's a writer, I would honestly say just write. There is
Mhm.
a beautiful quote from a woman that sounds so simple, but she literally is just like, someone asked her one time at a workshop, what's the best way to write a book? And
Right.
she said, the best way to write a book is the one where you sit your butt in the chair and you write. I
That's
mean,
all.
truly, that's the fact of the matter is people get so tied up on, okay, I don't have the title, or okay, my chapters aren't all the same length, or I need to make sure I figure out what word count. Oh my gosh, figure that out later. Just write the book. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't know any of that. I just started writing because I knew I can figure all that out later. The biggest thing that I need to do is just to write. And the beautiful thing about the writing community is, with your publisher, or if you want to publish, like your editor or whatever, let them do their job. I
Yeah.
know I'm horrible at grammar. My poor editors, when they get my manuscripts, it is horrible. I mean, the words are misspelled. It's awful. But
Hmm.
I don't worry about that because that's not my job.
Yeah.
I'm the writer. I'm just going to write. So
Yeah.
don't try to do it all. There are people, like, do the stuff that you love, which if that's
Mhm.
writing, write, and then let other people take care of the stuff that you don't care about. You could not pay me to edit. I don't want to edit my miscontractions and spelled things. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I will let someone whose job that is to do that. I'll just write the book. So let yourself write the book. I also would say, don't get misled into thinking that everything has to be perfect before you
Mhm.
write. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as perfect conditions. I've written in a bathroom stall in an airport before
Yeah.
because I had to get a certain amount of word count done. And people think you have to have this amazing office and this like voodoo lighting and
Yeah.
a candle blow, like a pumpkin spice candle. You don't need that. You just need to sit your butt down and write wherever you are. Don't fall for this myth that everything has to be perfect before you have time. You make time. You don't have it, you make it. So that's what I would
True. Oh, wow. So I just want to show you one last thing because it's live on the YouTube, and there are people giving you good comments. Okay, so this is, can you see here on the YouTube?
Yes.
So there's Jamuna Jemima who says, what a lovely explanation, Sister Annie. Kudos to you. It's really encouraging. Beautiful words with beautiful example. All right. Thank you, Jemima, wherever you are. And then there's Sampath who says, thoughtful session. Thank you so much, Sam and Annie. All right. And then this Raju says, amazing session. And Jamuna Jemima says, God bless you, Annie. All right. So we want to thank all of them who have come on live on the YouTube and
Mm-hmm.
have given amazing. So Annie, we want to thank you. All right. And we wish that you write more and impact more, and may many people get to know the truth and have life to the fullest with your writings. Yeah. So we at
Thank you.
VIT AP University, we wish you the best. And this is just the beginning of our learning association. We wish to
Mm-hmm.
see you on our university campus, or we wish to have more authors, getting a workshop from you soon.
Mm-hmm.
And we will do as much as possible. And may God give you the grace and good health to you and your family. And we give greetings from India. All right. And take care and do your best. Yeah.
Thank
So
you so
was there any
much.
time you or your family members been to India before?
I actually have. I went to India when I was in high school for 12 days. We flew into New Delhi, and
Hmm.
then we went to Delhi, and I think
Jaipur,
that,
Taj
yes.
Mahal,
Yes, 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 yes. We
Agra.
were there for
Yeah,
about
yeah.
12 days. I was with some of my high school friends. We were there for a mission trip. And so
Wow.
it was so, I mean, y'all have a beautiful country. I was
Yeah,
just blown
yeah.
away. Y'all really do. I'll have to
Good.
come back.
You will. You should definitely come back. Yeah. Okay, then. So, Annie, wherever you are, take care. All right. And
Thank you.
we will share this as much as possible. And thank you so much. We wish to, give our gratitude to you and to
Mhm.
your wonderful writing. May God bless you and give you more grace to write more and be the best author in the future. Right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you so much. Take care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you too.
Bye bye.